Breaking news tonight, the Supreme Court out with this ruling on the Trump administration and passports. They're now saying that the Trump administration can force people to ID themselves on passports based on their sex at birth, meaning male or female will be the only option.
Welcome. This is the Watchman Report coming to you from the Blessed Family Ministry. Here in the Blessed Family Ministry, we share current updates. Find this. Do not forget to subscribe if you are new here, and don't forget to share this message. Now we have breaking news tonight, friends. We are told in the book of Romans chapter 13 verse 2, the night is far spent and the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness and let us put on the armor of light. We are told, friends, the time is running to eternity. Time is almost finished. We are told in the spirit of prophecy that the present is a time of overwhelming interest to all living rulers and statesmen, and many who occupy positions of trust and authority, thinking men and women of all classes, have their attention fixed upon the events taking place about us. They are watching the revelation that exists among the nations. They observe the intensity that is taking possession of every earthly element, and they recognize that something great and decisive is about to take place, friends. Here we are told they are fixed upon the events that taking place around us. And now we have breaking news, dear friends, that it's a win for the Republicans, for the conservatives. During the book of Revelation chapter 13, about the beast rising out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake like a dragon. Here are real breaking news. The Supreme Court lets Trump administration require sex at birth be listed on passports. Remember, there has been about a couple years when the Supreme Court, the same Supreme Court, was defending the rights of LGBTQ same-sex marriage. But now things are changing, friends. If you didn't know, the pendulum is now shifting to the right side. The pendulum in prophecy shifts left to right. In the past administration, we saw the pendulum swinging all the way to the left. Now, my brothers and sisters, things are changing, and they're changing quickly. The spirit of prophecy, as we have been told, in the pen of inspiration, that the final events will be rapid ones. Now, brothers and sisters, as we have seen here, things are changing quickly, and they're changing quickly to the right. The Supreme Court lets Trump administration require sex and birth to be listed on passports. Listen to what it says. The Supreme Court will allow Trump administration to require all new passports to display an individual biological sex and birth. Now, we were told, it continues to say, the conservative majority court on Thursday forced an order from a lower court in Massachusetts that had stopped the U.S. government from changing its policy while the legal process played out.
National news and notes now. The United States Supreme Court ruled 6-3 earlier today in favor of the Trump administration in a case that involves transgender passport rights. The court put the brakes on a district court ruling that required the State Department to allow people to state their chosen gender as their sex designation on passports. The ruling said that displaying a passport holder's sex at birth is no different than displaying country of birth, that the government is merely attesting to a historical fact, not subjecting anyone to differential treatment. The court's 3 liberal justices publicly dissented, writing that the court has allowed a Trump administration policy to go ahead in a manner that, quote, permits harm to be inflicted on the most vulnerable part.
It's a time to bring people back to church. Here, this article came in 2 months ago. Listen to what it says.
Supreme Court could be facing a decision on same-sex marriage. It all stems from one woman's case. You may recall back in 2015, Kim Davis was a county clerk in Kentucky who was jailed for refusing to issue marriage licenses to gay couples on religious grounds. She's appealing that ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court and in turn also asking the justices to overturn a 2015 ruling that legalized same-sex marriage.
So, brothers and sisters, this case from 2015 from Kentucky seems to be the case that every eye is watching on the Supreme Court. Now today we have some breaking news that just happened.
Now is Leah Littman, University of Michigan law professor and co-host of the podcast Strict Scrutiny, and Mark Joseph Stern, senior writer for Slate and the co-host of the Amicus podcast. Mark, fill in the gaps here. Why is the same-sex marriage issue back before the Supreme Court today?
Well, the court will be considering a petition by Kim Davis. You may remember she was the Kentucky clerk who refused to grant a marriage license to a same-sex couple shortly after the Supreme Court issued its decision. The couple she discriminated against sued and ultimately won $100,000 in damages. She is appealing that damages award and that decision and argues that she should have been able to raise a First Amendment defense that providing the license violated her freedom of religion. So what she's primarily asking for is to be free of a $100,000 judgment against her. But her lawyers added to the petition saying, while we're at it, we think this would be a great opportunity for the Supreme Court to re-examine and overturn the marriage equality ruling because it was wrong on the day it was decided and it has had bad consequences for anti-gay religious individuals like Davis.
Leah, if the justices decide to take up this case, what does that tell you?
If they decide to take it up, I think it's clear they would actually overrule Obergefell versus Hodges. There's no real reason for them to take it other than that, but I still don't think that's likely to happen. As Mark's summary made clear, this case involves a bunch of other questions aside from the future of marriage equality. And indeed, a few years ago, Kim Davis had asked the Supreme Court to take up this very same case at an earlier stage in the litigation, and the justices didn't do so. In fact, even Justices Alito and Thomas wrote to say they didn't even vote to hear this particular case to decide the future of marriage equality, even though they wanted to revisit that issue potentially in the future in another case.
Right. We know Justices Alito and Thomas have been vocal in their opposition to the Obergefell decision. Thomas even wrote in a to the decision overturning the right to an abortion that the court should, quote, reconsider all of this court's substantive due process precedents, including Griswold versus Connecticut, that's a contraception case, Lawrence v. Texas, a same-sex sexual relations issue, and Obergefell, the same-sex marriage case. Mark, it is a 6-3 conservative leading court. Do we know where the other conservative justices stand?
So, look, they haven't made it entirely clear the way that Thomas and Alito have. I think if marriage equality came to the court for the first time today, the court would rule 6-3 that there's no constitutional right for same-sex couples to marry. But this is now a precedent. It's been on the books for 10 years. As even Justice Amy Coney Barrett acknowledged in an interview recently, hundreds of thousands of couples now rely on this right. And that gives the court a good reason not to overturn it. My view is that justices like Barrett and John Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh, they are trying to undermine LGBTQ equality in different...
Brothers and sisters, we are told the final thanks will be rabid ones. This is something which every student of prophecy, students waiting for the coming of Christ, this is a very special landmark that is coming from your horizon. So watch, sometimes on Monday, they are going to declare when they are going to take up this case. No matter what, we are told God's people, they need to be watchful and prayerful for the times at hand. We are told, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had the horns of the lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So, my brothers and sisters, this lamb-like beast, the United States of America, it's going to do whatever it takes to correct morality, to correct the moral declension in this country. They are going to enact a Sunday law. This is just the beginning of it. And we know for sure the Bible speaks, the Bible has prophesied that it will do even the conversion of America to be Catholic. Watch, friends, be on your guard, be watchful, be vigilant, be prayerful, and let Christ win in your hearts. And God bless you till we meet again next time.